I am back. Thank you for waiting another week for me. I am sorry about this. Hopefully next week I don't have to work overtime. Hopefully, um, I can have back to a normal 8-hour schedule. And well, what I'm doing right now, I know you may actually be a little bit confused about it. And trust me, I actually am gonna tribute the created this YouTube content in the description. I had some not so strong disagreements with this character, with this guy's, YouTube channel. It's, well, let me just say a couple things. One, I know the technicalities of writing. I'm not a writer. I am somebody who fucking loves to draw, does a lot of fucking art. By the way, about a week ago, I may have put up on my Twitter page, and let me just put it in the chat. Give me a second, guys. Put that link in there. If you actually want to see some great shit, let me pull up my. If you want to actually see some great shit, you can actually check out my Zazzle store. And what I'm gonna actually start doing, which I've actually done recently, is I'm still trying to work out pricing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a good idea for pricing, but let's go ahead and put that up. And you should be able to see it on, just, you actually see my Zazzle store up. And, check out some of my art. Check out some of the things that I have. Let me know if you want to actually get in contact with me, say a couple things. Also, shit, since I'm shilling, I might as well shill it all, right? And I actually put my Etsy store down too, because I've actually been doing some great strides with actually just bringing my store back from the brink. And if you want to actually see some of my other art, that should be it. And this is my Etsy store. So yeah, if you want to actually take the time to look at some of my art, just check out my artwork. I'm an artist, and I like doing art shit. So I spend a lot of time, and this is just one of my things. When I do art, I like to do art based on, and I don't know if you guys can hear me. You guys should be able to hear me. But I do a lot of art based on actually getting into the mind of a character. I actually put my. Alright, yep, you guys can hear me. So I do a lot of my art based on the mind of the character. Like, if I can't visualize a character, it's hard for me to actually draw them. Gone are the days where I just drew a static character just in some, mugging for the camera. I do camera poses, and, a lot of my character design is just, I don't know, you can actually see it too. Like when I do character art, I do a lot of character design for, the best way I can describe it, I do my character design for animation. What's the next scene? Not that somebody's just posing there for the camera, but they're posing there for the camera for something that, you know what, I can actually just bring it up on here. And so, like, for instance, this is my most recent camera. Recent. I just go to my Etsy. So, like, this one is Vegeta as Pame. And don't worry, the original is $350. I do have prints available when I actually get it. And it's like, I really like to give attitude. And if you saw Kill Bill was Kill Bill Volume 2. They had a character, Pai Mei. And if you watch old Kung Fu movies, Pai Mei was a character where he was the old arrogant master, Vegeta. And like he in Kill Bill Volume 2, he actually trained people to learn how to fight. He trained Bill, he trained Ellie Diver, he trained the Bride, and so got the little Saiyan logo, got the little Saiyan pod in the background. It was just an idea I had, and it fits him. He's the old fucking master that is gonna teach you. And of course, I was watching old Dragon Ball Super, how he fucking treated Kaba. And this is some other shit that I haven't. And I promise you guys, I'm gonna get to the video. This is my Lotus, and like, this is a mug for the camera. What is another one? You know, Smite. This is Bast being Bast, the Egyptian cat goddess. And it's just like a couple of other great things that I have. Just a few other things that, like this right here. It's actually prints only available. Just a couple of great things that, if we were to actually go through and look at some of my artwork, you can actually see, like, I like characters. I don't like just static characters. I like showing my characters fucking off. Like, that's just me. That's who I am. And if we're gonna bring up, like, and of course I have other characters. If you haven't seen my DeviantArt page, and I swear to God, I'm gonna get to the point of the video. Go to my gallery. This is my DeviantArt page. So we can go to not just feature. Go to all deviations. And this is battle ready. Like, I was just like, I want to fucking draw hands. So I actually did this one. Yeah. You can actually see some of the other ones that I have. You can see this one. I wanted to draw a hand. So I originally drew this one, and then I was like, let's give it some depth tone. So yeah. And I think I have a video of this, so you can actually check out my YouTube channel of the video. This one I have a video of. Shit. This one I did for a friend, and I fucking love that one. But yeah, so I'd say all of this to say, I like characters, I like writing, and I like to hear people's take on shit. So today we're actually gonna go over a couple of videos from a guy called Totally Not Mark. He's actually a fucking character artist. This is he's actually drawn this in the style of Toriyama. And a couple people have done videos for him. I've fucking watched them. And I'm not going to say I don't agree with some of his characteristics. The characterizations of the characters that he talks about. I just have a different spin on it. And I take him as somebody who is a fucking writer. I think he even mentions that he has done writing. Not just YouTube script writing. But I think that a lot of his characterization isn't actually bad. And this is not a hit piece on him. I actually think that a lot of his writing is, as a writer, I would do this versus this is what the writer actually says. And that's actually a good point. If you're a writer and somebody says, well, the way you work this was okay, but I really would have liked this. And in some of his commentary, I'm totally agreement with them, and other ones not so much. But let's go. Now let's talk about the first video that he did. It was Gohan, and let me see if I can speed it up. Is there a way for me to speed it up? Alright, so, and he talks pretty fast, so let's watch. And seeing that this is a gaming stream.
Son Gohan, exploding on...
Let me speed it up a little bit. Yeah. Alright, let's go.
The scene with the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, telling a courageous and inspirational coming-of-age story. From unassuming and shy to courageous and heroic. From would-be attempted main character to...
Alright.
Utter modern-day obscurity. The story of Son Gohan is one of monumental highs and heartbreaking lows, with many in the community still upset decades later with how his character was handled and continues to be handled today. So a while back...
Alright, so, and this is one of the things that I've never understood about the fandom and actually the hate of Son Gohan. Like, seriously. I get it, maybe because I was never as young as some of the people that are in the fandom when Dragon Ball Z Super came out. Not Dragon Ball Z Super. Dragon Ball came out. I was already in my teens. And I never self-identified with Gohan that a lot of people in the community is actually identified with. To be honest with you, he was just little Goku in the beginning. Like, in the... Quite literally, the game... The anime actually made it seem like he was just little Goku. Especially the filler episodes where Piccolo gave him the Goku Gi. It was just like he was seriously little Goku. And I actually watched like the first arc of Dragon Ball. Right up until they cut off his tail, and I think it went on hiatus, or I had to change up my schedule for school. But yeah, it just seemed like they were just doing, and I didn't know the history behind that anime characters never age. I just thought, oh, Goku's an adult, so this looks to be fun. But let's go.
I put up a poll on my Twitter asking the question, who was the most disappointing character in Dragon Ball? Leaving options like Jiren, Piccolo, and Majin Buu alongside Gohan. And despite Jiren's character direction at this time being a meme for how terrible it was, Gohan still managed to make it a close race, racking up more votes than the similarly mishandled Piccolo and the vapid caricature of Majin Buu combined. So today I want to take an in-depth look at Gohan's character, to find out what worked and why it worked, and to finally figure out what went wrong.
Okay, and so...
to cause this fall from grace, all in an attempt to answer the age-old question, is it too late for Son Gohan? No, it's not.
Alright, so... here's the thing about this. Here's the thing about it. I'm not gonna sit back and say that Gohan wasn't handled well, but it's truly he was never meant to be the main character, and I get it. There are a lot of passing the torch things in anime now, but at the time that this was written, he was never supposed to be the protector of Earth. And I'm sorry, it's like a lot of people actually take what happened with the end of the Cell games is, oh, Gohan was going to take over. He was never main character material. And I don't know. Again, maybe this is me knowing the mechanics of a writer to know. That's like Telemachus taking over as a story of the Odyssey, where it was truly about Odysseus. Ugh, God. Too much second year high school English, right?
Not too late! Move! I said move! Right out the gate on Gohan's first big outing, Akira Toriyama demonstrated to us everything we needed to know about Gohan as a character. He was polite but shy, and when Raditz arrives, Gohan is seen grabbing tightly onto Goku's leg, further communicating that he is very much prone to fear, as most children are. Gohan was made to...
Alright, so I don't think a lot of people realize in this beginning, Gohan was fucking 4. Like, he was 4. I don't think a lot of people realize that. He was 4. And, like, they try to attribute, a lot of people, and I get it. I understand. You want to attribute things to people that you feel you can relate to. But he was more realistic than the monkey boy that Goku was when he was a kid. But again, Goku, when you met him in Dragon Ball, was 12. Gohan is 4. Well, let's continue.
Look unremarkable. And that's important because in a show like Dragon Ball, where fighters need to be confident and want to fight, you would think that Gohan seems like a terrible fit. But in reality, from a writing perspective, Gohan's size, fear, and reluctance to fight were his biggest strengths in making him a compelling and fun character to watch, when Akira Toriyama added a certain extra ingredient to his character: an explosive temper. It might seem like a rather rudimentary concept, but it's actually more sophisticated than you might think. You see, everything from Gohan's design as a character to his sensibilities as a person serve to exponentially increase the effectiveness of these instances where he loses control. In other...
So, yeah, I think you attribute too much to Toriyama other than just like, I needed somebody to bring in the kids, and he kind of looks like Goku, but he has Piccolo's moves. And by then, Goku and Piccolo were well-established characters in the Dragon Ball, because Toriyama didn't do this for the Dragon Ball fucking anime. He did it for he was writing the manga. And the fucking manga at this time was, he needed to stand there for little Goku. And yeah, Gohan was this stand-in, but not to the point that a lot of people in the Dragon Ball, a lot of people in the Dragon Ball fandom actually just, I don't think they really understood, like, Gohan was never meant to be he was never meant to be I don't know, character stand-in for little kids as what they wanted to be, something that they idolized or, you know, wanted to relate to. He was just there to be the kid, and afterwards, he was taken way out of the kid context. But let's continue.
Words, the most fun that's had with Gohan occurs when he is made to feel scared and small when pitted up against someone who is very evil and large.
Yeah, that's Toriyama's writing convention. Toriyama's writing convention is take up, you know, what is that? Upend expectations, avert expectations. And when you actually look at his style, it's always meant to be like, hey, I'm Toriyama, and I'm about to just throw in some of the craziest things. For instance, hey, we're going to introduce 2 characters. The big and brutish one is actually the weaker one. And it's a subversion of expectations. And that's something that Toriyama really loves doing. And I'm sorry, I don't think that a lot of people actually get that with Gohan. They saw him as a character where I can relate to Gohan, where, no, Gohan was a expectation. So, let's continue.
Right off the bat, from a visual standpoint, it's made abundantly clear that this isn't a fair fight, and so there's a very clear power dynamic established. In this instance, not only is Gohan much smaller than his foe, but he is also only a young child. And the more helpless and small a character looks compared to their foe, the more shocking and satisfying it is when that small character ultimately takes down that larger individual.
So, I mean, like, you get it. This is the convention that he was going for. And I would hate to say that a lot of people who hates Gohan's character take it as a product of how almost wish fulfillment they wish it was, that even as a kid they're one of the strongest if only they can find courage. And I get that, and I think that plays a lot to the disappointment too, because a lot of people, they had to fucking grow up, and ironically they became what current Gohan is. And this is not a knock at anybody. We all grow up with dreams to be the best or the top or, you know, number one or have riches and fame. And there's always a goal that we should always strive for. And man, that's great. That's great that a lot of people actually should do that. And I think what happened was they saw the disappointment that Gohan, quote unquote, disappointment that Gohan lived to versus realizing that Gohan is probably one of the most well-adjusted persons in fucking Dragon Ball. He has a pretty normal life. Maybe the problem is people shouldn't be coming from space and fucking with Earth. But in the best world, dude, he's like the fourth strongest in the universe that's not a god. But let's continue.
On the topic of reactive characters, K.M. Weiland said, "This is probably the most important thing to understand about the reactive protagonist. His reactivity is almost solely the result of the fact that he is not the one who is controlling the conflict. The antagonistic force is firmly in control at this point. Stuff is happening to the protagonist, and he can't stop it." In other words, for Gohan's angry moments to achieve their desired effect, Gohan can never be the one to pick the fight. He must be provoked, because if he picks that fight, he becomes a bully. And so writing Gohan as a shy, kind, and passive character creates every opportunity to avoid being a bully. The more scared Gohan is, the more courageous he seems when he overcomes that fear.
So, yeah, this is what I mean. Mark, actually, he knows the technicalities of writing. And it comes down to style of how he wants to accomplish it. And, you know what? Fuck. There are some narrative things that I wish... There are some narrative things that I wish that Dragon Ball Super didn't take. But it's just as a fucking point of order. I understand why certain things are. Some of it is lazy writing at times. Some of it is just like, you know, some of it is stylistic. And you know what? I have a big thing for what I saw a lot that happened with Super that I don't think anybody, actually a lot of people get wrong about Super and the cohesiveness of a lot of the arguments that it has. But let's continue.
For the right reasons. And this was a formula that Akira Toriyama used to great effect when writing for Gohan through various arcs. Typically speaking, active characters are usually the most interesting and compelling characters to watch, because they are the characters that drive the story forward through their own choices and actions. When an active character is on...
So, again, Gohan is not an active character. He's a reactive character. And a reactive character is never a good story to mainly build, never a good person to mainly build a story around. You have, as much as, you know, the thing about it is, and I'm going to say this, a lot of villains, they work to change the story. Hold on, guys. Yeah. A lot of the villains work to change the story. They work to make the world as they want it to be. They have to. They fucking have to. Because that's the point of their story. A villain acts. A hero reacts. And that's been a formula with a lot of stories. And, you know, that's something that we see with all of... That's something we see with all of narrative writing. A hero reacts, a villain acts, and a hero reacts. And that's something that holds true with just a lot of story tales. But it's not a good idea to make your main story character that. And I don't think a lot of people realize that Gohan was never a good main character to a story.
screen, you pay attention because this is the person that moved the story forward. This style of character works particularly well for protagonists, and so reactive characters, as the name implies, react to the plot as it unfolds. Gohan is a reactive character, but one that was designed to take full advantage of that fact, reacting to those that pick a fight for despicable reasons, and during these specific instances is more interesting and fun to watch than many of the other active characters in the story. The Cell Saga was where Gohan's character underwent a fundamental change, one that reconciled much of Gohan's character's baggage and saw to the climax of his character arc. K.M. Weiland, when speaking on characters undergoing change, says, particularly if your protagonist is following a change arc, he's also going to be struggling to understand a lot of his own motives at this point in the story. He's in the grip of the lie, and his blindness about himself, just as much as any other factor, is causing him to get smacked around during this part of the story. In other words...
So, technically, again, Gohan was never a good person to make a story around. I'm sorry. I just don't see him as the guy. I'm not gonna lie. He's never seemed as the guy to me. He seemed as a good ancillary character. And that even goes for like a character that I'm gonna bring up later. But let's continue.
It's right before Gohan ultimately becomes the person he was always supposed to be. He held on to this belief that he wasn't good enough and struggled to come to grips with his feelings on the justification of killing someone. This was something he needed to be pushed to the point of snapping in order to act on in the past. However, now, having reconciled this lie with the truth that it is okay to do everything in your power to protect the Earth, Gohan has changed on a fundamental level from who he was at the beginning of this arc, to someone who now assumes the responsibility as Earth's defender. The climax to the Cell Saga was in many respects like the ending to Gohan's story, or at least the ending to the main one he was telling up until that point, one that was celebrated by fans and critics alike. And the trouble with that is, where do you go from here? It isn't immediately clear. So in a sense, it's as if...
Alright, so one of the things that if you go back to the manga, Toriyama had no fucking... I think what happened, because everybody forgets that Toriyama is a joke manga guy. He is not somebody who sit back and makes seriousness for seriousness sake. He uses it as a tool, and a lot of people attribute a lot to the seriousness of Z, where I don't get why they did. Z was actually, yeah, it had serious moments, but it was never far from the goofiness of Dragon Ball. Never. Just look at the characters that they had. I mean, like, Team 4-Star made a good run of it, but, like, they didn't have far to go to make fun of the goofiness of they never had far to go make from the goofiness of, like, the characters in the Frieza saga, or, like, I think the Cell saga is when it really got bad, but they were never far from goofiness. But let's go.
Akira Toriyama tasked himself with writing a sequel to a celebrated movie, a sequel to one of the most satisfying character journeys in anime, and it didn't.
My fellow Kryptonians,
Let this actually play out. Skip ads.
This is modern-day Gohan, and this is the Gohan that everyone who voted in that poll at the beginning of the video were thinking of when they saw his name on the list. When introduced to the story in early Dragon Ball Z, Gohan, as I said, was designed to look and act as though he was a...
Alright, so, modern-day Gohan. What has happened? Well, he's been living a world of peace. You know, the shit you do when a lot of things have gone well your way. He's become a scholar, and you know what? He thought he had, like we all thought we were living in a world of peace. Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo. These aren't well-adjusted people. They don't know when to fucking put down the sword, so to speak. And I'm sorry. Dude found a little bit of happiness in the world. And yes, let's break the fourth wall here. You're a character in the manga, in a battle manga. Of course, you're gonna want to always stay strong. But that's not the problem. That's not a problem. Not wanting to fight. But let's continue.
Unremarkable, to subvert expectations and to complement the dynamic he brought to every major confrontation he was in. But this Gohan, the one we have today, is unremarkable, contributing little more to the series than simple recreations of classic great scenes and moments from his origin story. Simple, hey, remember this type moments, lacking intention and consequences. He's become quite literally a nostalgia act.
Okay, so this is what I feel like I have to defend Gohan, where he isn't the warrior that his father is, but he's still the fourth strongest person in the fucking universe that's not a god. In Battle of Gods, he actually didn't lose much in that movie. He still had the ultimate Gohan form, and like, it was almost as if I don't know where a lot of people actually get this whole thing where Gohan, because he settled down and had a family, his weakness is unforgettable. Where people forget, these are the same people who make fun of Goku being a bad father because he's never around. But he's literally around his family all the time. Or he's doing shit to, like, support his family all the time. And it's some nobility in that. But, like, you're shitting on Gohan for, like, hey, maybe fighting isn't as important as everybody wants it to be. And besides, he has two motherfuckers who love to fight and battle all the time. I'm gonna slack off too. But let's continue.
Similar brand of character fatigue has plagued other series favorites like Piccolo, although in different ways. Having played an important role in Dragon Ball from his unveiling, Piccolo was and in many ways persists in being a fan favorite, despite there truly being nothing to celebrate with regards to his character anymore. Dragon Ball Super also saw...
See, you taking shots to things like Piccolo. Piccolo he's no longer has to be the Battlefront man. I'm sorry, he doesn't. And it's too much to ask to have 3 or 4 Battlefront men in a battle anime. You split time and you don't get the character developed that you want. Yes, again, I get it. You want to actually respond to, that character, that fan favorite Gohan, but yeah, like, seriously, it's not a requirement. Give me a good story. Give me a reason why he stopped training. Give me a good one. If you give me a good reason why he stopped training, I'm going to be okay with it. Is it a good reason why he stopped training? He got a family and then he started to work instead of not working. And these are the same people who make the memes about Goku being a bad father. But let's continue.
To the rise of the character that took first place in our poll at the beginning of this video as being the most disappointing character in Dragon Ball. And while I can appreciate why people have a great distaste for the shonen trope caricature that is Jiren the Grey, I can't say he's more disappointing than Gohan. Disappointment is a result of expectations not being met, and I can't say I expected as much from Jiren as I...
And again, a lot of people I'm not talking about Mark at all. Definitely not. I see a lot of people actually are disappointed because he chose to be a family man. And I can't fault this man for that. It's not like he was sitting back with a beer, like literally you see him doing the job. But he should know he was strong and he wasted his potential. Says Vegeta. Vegeta, who isn't exactly the picture of calm and well-meaning. I mean, like, I think he still has PTSD from the Frieza shit. But let's continue.
It did for the future of this guy. So, what went wrong? In Daizenshu 1, the first of many official guidebooks released after the series had concluded, featured 2 popularity polls taken during the course of the series, each ranking the 5 most popular characters of that given time. The first of these polls appeared in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1993, issue 12, towards the end of the Cell games, featuring the chapter where Cell self-destruct.
Alright, so I Here's an idea. I've actually went back and watched old Dragon Ball, barring the filler shit. God damn it, this is barring the filler shit. Old Dragon Ball Z wasn't exactly the best fucking show. It was just fun. And I liked it because it was fucking fun, but I mean, it wasn't exactly as good as people make it out to be with nostalgia. But, you know, that's just me. I actually think that a lot of people attribute more to it than what they should. But that's when any manga, I literally, Funimation actually just released on their YouTube channel Tenchimoto, and I forgot how bad it was. But hey, they did show, you know, cartoon uncensored breasts, you know, that's. But you know, it was just one of those things where it's just nostalgia. I went back and recently watched Yu Yu Hakusho. That shit was fun. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was fun, and especially once you get to the Dark Tournament, that shit was awesome. But I knew there was some problems with the series. I definitely knew there was some problems with the series. Not people hold Dragon Ball Z up to a standard where it's just like, nah, it wasn't as great as you want it to be. I actually find that the characterization is Super actually being better, and like don't pull my Dragon Ball Z card, but my Dragon Ball fan card. But I think the characterization in Z was actually better. And that's because they breathe with the characters, and they didn't have to always have character A being, you know, just, it had to have character A being, I'm going to tell your story through a fight and through a battle. It actually took some cues from how people in Naruto actually learn characterization. Surprising, I know. But let's continue.
It lists Gohan in first place, followed by Goku, Trunks, Vegeta, and Piccolo. The second of the two popularity polls appears in Weekly Shonen Jump 1995, issue 5 and 6, near the end of the Buu arc, featuring chapter 501, where a Gotenks-absorbed Buu continues to beat up on Gohan. In first place sees Goku, followed by Vegeta, Trunks, Gotenks, and Piccolo. Gohan is not even on the list. But what makes this more interesting is that between these two polls, after the 7-year time skip, on the cover of chapter 421 presents a message from Master Roshi saying, Dragon Ball will continue for just a tad longer. From now on, taking the place of the late Goku as the main character will be the serious-minded Son Gohan. Clearly, this arc did not end with Gohan being the main character, and the only comment made about this by Akira Toriyama came from an interview conducted after the series had concluded. He says, I intended to put Gohan into the lead role. It didn't work out. I felt that compared to Goku, he was ultimately not suited for the part. So why didn't the character work out? Well, if I was to read into this...
There we go. There we go. And I know, it would have been great. It would have been awesome to actually see Gohan just to be battle hungry. No, it wouldn't have. It would have totally ruined his character. And I don't see why people actually don't see that. That him being battle hungry, having that battle lust that all Saiyans seem to have, that would have ruined his character. Like, let's compare another character. Let's compare Naruto Uzumaki. He actually has a lust to improve himself through battle. Gohan doesn't. He has a goal. Gohan doesn't. He just don't want people to die. Pair this with somebody who they think is such a boring character. Strong and gets mad. Ichigo Kurosaki. He has parallel characteristics with Ichigo. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I'm super strong. The problem with Ichigo is he actually became super strong and like God tier. Head power gifted to him out of just so many emotional bursts. and very little training sessions. Oh my god, it's almost as if you don't like it because Ichigo seemed more adult, which he was just fucking 15. Like, yeah. And but let's continue.
And again, this is my own speculation. Akira Toriyama, up until this point in Dragon Ball, had been writing it with Goku, the active protagonist. Active protagonists, as I've said before, have a built-in charisma of sorts, and most importantly, a compelling formula, because they drive the story. They make things happen. Gohan, on the other hand, is a reactive character, meaning he reacts to the story as it happens to him, more than he drives the plot. What's interesting about this is that most characters in movies and TV shows tend to start their hero's journey as passive or reactionary characters, and as the story progresses, the protagonist shifts into a more active role with agency over the plot. This describes the arc Gohan found himself on from the Saiyan Saga to the Cell Saga. Beginning, he was quite literally dragged away to answer the call to action, pushed into situations, but slowly he developed agency, and as his story progressed, he shifted into an active character in the most spectacular of ways. In a video discussing Dragon Ball G, Super Eye Patch Wolf pointed out quite accurate.
No, he never, ever became an active character. Not in the beginning of Z, not in the middle of Z, even towards the end of the Cell games. He never became an active character. Even in the Buu Saga, he never became an active character. More shit happened to him, and he responded. But Gohan never, ever became an active character. Never did. Never did. Not in the entirety of Z or since. Gohan has never been an active character. Shit has always drug him along. Yes, he has made the conscious effort to get stronger when shit goes down. But that's because shit says, time for Gohan to become stronger. And when that happened, yeah, he did. But let's continue.
That the simple and general theme of Dragon Ball is progression through struggle. And as you might have noticed, the Buu arc wastes no time in establishing that Gohan has slacked off and gotten weaker. He has regressed for the first time in his life, accomplishing little of the arc apart from getting his energy stored.
And again, I feel that the bar is insanely high for Gohan itself, because as much as I grant him that he did get weaker, he kind of was still one of the strongest beings in the universe compared to almost all of them. Yeah. It's like the Chicago Cubs fans. Like, yeah, they're a good team, and yeah, they may have won something way back or even very recently, but you're not going to win the World Series all the time. Sometimes it's just your year. And sometimes it's a fluke. Does anybody remember that Goku and Vegeta got Super Saiyan 2? But let's continue.
Gohan putting up a decent fight against Dabura, which he was criticized harshly during, being beaten up by Buu all before the eventual power-up he receives, which comes through, again, no struggle from Gohan. It's handed to him on a silver platter. The theme of Dragon Ball, progression through struggle, was reinforced with Goku's character, who constantly strove for this ideal. But in switching out the character for Gohan, a large disconnect was made thematically, as the character had an entirely new set of ideals that didn't complement with what the show was up until that point. And to compound this problem, what made this all the more striking was that Gohan, up until this point, had embodied this ideal both physically and figuratively throughout his journey. However, now, as a happy...
No. I've never seen Gohan struggle for power-ups. I've seen future Trunks struggle for power-ups more than Gohan. He was literally beat into submission by Vegeta because I've never seen Gohan ever struggle for power-ups. Fucking future Gohan struggled more than current timeline Gohan. But let's go.
The adult, he has no struggle. The anger dynamic that enhanced his reactive character is now gone, and the size difference that was once between himself and his foes, while still there, isn't nearly as striking or effective as it once was. So in many ways, a lot of the aspects of the early Gohan character we all loved were not present in the Buu Saga's iteration of the character. So in order for Gohan to work as the new protagonist, Dragon Ball's direction and themes needed to change in a noticeable way to accommodate this new Gohan. And as seen during the beginning of this new arc, it's clear Toriyama was trying something different with the story. A slice-of-life tale about Gohan getting used to being part of the society he's trying to protect. However, being around the other classic characters like Piccolo and Vegeta, who still upheld the ideals of classic Dragon Ball, only reinforced this sense sense that something was missing, leaving myself as a writer looking back at the Buu saga as a whole wondering, why did we spend so much time with Gohan in school? Why did we spend so much time with Videl's character if she didn't play a role in the greater plot? Gohan unlocking his power again seemed unearned and arbitrary and ultimately served no purpose for the story except to waste time. Another poll I took on my Twitter asking which of the Dragon Ball Z arcs was their least favorite emphatically reflects that these thoughts I have are not unique to me. In Robert McKee's book Story, he writes, "The truly passive protagonist is a regrettably common mistake. A story cannot be told about a protagonist who doesn't want anything, who cannot make the..."
So, and I think a lot of people, well, not a lot of people being familiar with the original Dragon Ball, I think a lot of people see the Cell games as the exemplar versus the exception. Even on Namek, it was just some zany antics that went along. But it was... He literally took... Toriyama literally took... He was just dead set on doing his version of Terminator. He literally modeled Arnold Schwarzenegger robot in Android 16. That's what the Android and the Cell games were for this man. And I'm sorry, it's just one of those things where it's just, I don't know where to go from there. I don't know why a lot of people just see the Cell games as the pinnacle of Toriyama's writing. No, he did something different, and he had to have a final follow-up from with Frieza Brawl. But, guys, it was the exception, not the rule. That's why, I think that's why Super actually hits a soft spot for me, because it takes some of the characterization from early Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z and actually mixes in the fighting. But let's continue.
Decisions, whose actions affect no change at any level. Now, to be clear, the jury is still out on whether or not this arc is disjointed because of Gohan losing popularity and thus changing the course of the Buu saga, or if he lost popularity because he didn't do anything substantial in the arc. And to be clear, the Buu saga did absolutely have some incredible moments and additions to the story that have lasted the test of time. But all that aside, it begs the question, is it possible to bring Gohan back? Well, yes and no. In my video, Goku the Misunderstood Character, I briefly mentioned how the Gohan character's story was absolutely over and how it ended at Cell, and I stand by that. That version of Gohan isn't coming back, and it shouldn't. But is there a way to make Gohan's modern character a fan favorite again? Absolutely. And this is how I would do it. Gohan is a reactionary character, and so something I'd like from him in the future is a story centered around the philosophy, if you have the potential or power to make the world better, then you should. I am, of course, basing this story structure off a particular film and
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't like how people characterize just Gohan in general as if he is sitting back and letting things happen around him. No, no matter how much he's lost his strength, you actually always see Gohan as the first one to jump up. And in a world without Goku or Vegeta, in a world without Goku and Vegeta, yeah, this would be disastrous, but we kind of have the Goku and Vegeta show. And I think that's one of the things where, I don't know, it's just for me, I don't get why people are so negative for that, but let's continue.
Character I'm sure you're all aware of with a similar philosophy, that with great power comes great responsibility. I think Gohan's character can take a few leaves from Spider-Man 2. It's a sequel to an ongoing story that features a reactionary protagonist, and a fantastic video by Patrick H. Willems describes this aspect of Peter Parker's story in Spider-Man 2 perfectly. If the first Spider-Man movie is about Peter Parker learning that with...
Alright, but here's the thing. If you go back and watch the old Spider-Man, the Raimi movies, they weren't as good as a lot of people remember them to be. You remember Spider-Man 2 because of fucking Doc Ock. Doc Ock was a great addition to that movie. But the Raimi Spider-Man, the problems that people saw with 3 were there in 2. It's just that you remember Doc fucking Ock and how everybody wished they had a professor like Doc Ock. And it actually changed some of his characteristics in the comic. But let's continue.
With great power comes great responsibility, and Spider-Man 2 is about exploring that responsibility and the consequences of it. It's about the toll that being a superhero takes on the rest of his life. For the whole movie, Peter faces consequence after consequence for being Spider-Man and trying to do the right thing.
Now, imagine if instead of the story that isn't being told about Gohan right now, he was instead struggling to come to terms with having to manage this responsibility. Progression through struggle. He's already flamboyant, has an alter ego, and a strong sense of duty, which was hinted at towards the beginning of the Buu Saga. I sometimes wonder if this was the original direction Akira Toriyama had in mind for the character, but unfortunately we don't know, and we may never know. In preparation for this video, I went back through my collection of manga, reading various excerpts and passages from Gohan's story, and truthfully it saddens me to see a character that was once so inspirational and likable fall further and further into the background. So much so that today they aren't present at all in the latest material, and as some of you out there probably have noticed, he's not in the thumbnail of this video either. And the reason the thumbnail of this video features this Gohan and not his older counterpart is because this is the Gohan people love and remember. And unfortunately, the other has been forgotten. Thanks.
And see, this is like one of my characterizations that a lot of people like of like the old characters that I just, for me, I don't like those what a lot of people attribute to the characters, and maybe because. Shit, you just saw me at the beginning of this video. I literally have characters that I create that I attribute different characteristics to because I'm the artist, and a little bit of that is me actually being a writer trying to determine how that character would be. But I don't know. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand wanting hope out of a character, sympathizing complete with the character instead of just qualities. But again, that's just me. Let's go to a character which I actually like a lot of his qualities, but I just think he's a asshole. But let's go ahead and remove this off my response video. And this is not me actually taking down this man's video. I actually like the videos and it brings a discussion. Just like him and Masako X, they have some great characteristics. I just choose to see a different point of view with them. And, shit, like, I'm glad to have these discussions. Let's go ahead and do Gohan, Prince Vegeta the Fourth.
Excuse me, can you buy?
Come on, while we let the intro play.
I released a video discussing.
All right, so pause it. I don't want to do full screen. Yeah, here we go. And let's still on 1.5 playback speed. Yes. Dominance. All right. So before we get into this, I'm going to be anti-fucking hero. Do I really? Fuck it. Let's do it live. Before we get into both videos in the game, let me go grab me something to drink. Hold on 1 second, guys. Be right back. Mm. Sorry, guys. Earlier today, I made me some fucking chicken. It was fucking delicious. Fucking cold water is awesome. All right. All right, so let's go to the official. At least I know. So this is what I like to do: official service. I know when official service are being done. It gives you the opportunity to kind of like they don't set anything kind of crazy. Player versus player. And there's usually no crazy shit. Alright, so let's get in.
Vegeta and Goku, asking you, the audience, to decide which of the two you identify with more and who you might want to be if given the choice. By an incredibly wide margin, Vegeta was the character chosen. So yeah.
Alright, so we're covering Vegeta. And with us covering Vegeta, fuck, I'm not gonna lie, I like fucking Vegeta. I understand his plot so much and plight so much, even though I can't completely identify with him. I fucking like this motherfucker's character. And I like the growth that he's taken. That's why I like him. I may not be able to identify as the Prince of all Saiyans, but kind of understand it. And if you're a person that fucking likes Vegeta, comparing it to what happened to Gohan, hence, you have to understand that their character arcs are parallel as far as, hey, it happened to Vegeta. He, in the Buu Saga, you see, he's like, I got weaker because I cared about my family. But yet, a lot of people hate what happened with Gohan. I don't know. It's just ironic.
Asked on Twitter, why don't people like Goku? And these were the most common talking points. Number 1, he's one-dimensional. Number 2, he's childish. And number 3, because of his character, he can be seen as predictable and boring. And while I don't agree at all...
Okay, so here's the thing. Goku is an idiot. That goes without saying. He is a fucking idiot. And I'm sorry. He's a fucking idiot. Like, now, when I say he's an idiot, he is naive and childish. Now, that's not taken away from, he's a fucking fighting genius. I like to say that he's a battle tactician. He knows how to do different battle strategies. And he is somebody that knows how to use the fucking DM, and no, I don't mean direct messaging, but he pops desperation moves, and his genius is learning how to think on the fly. I think we said it. He knows how to fucking make a decision in a snap instance, and that's a genius, and that's something that he should be lauded for. That being said, people are right. He is childish. I wouldn't say boring. It's never a boring moment when he's on screen. And I just don't see why people are defecating on the statue. Unauthorized dismemberment. But I don't see why people think he's boring. He's not boring. He's just not. He's not a character that I can identify his qualities for. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for Vegeta.
With his character being boring or one-dimensional, check out my last video. I can 100% get on board with the notion that he's not a relatable character insofar as it pertains to some large aspects of his persona and morals. Which is why we have the anti-hero. Enter Vegeta. Flawed, unapologetic when it comes to getting the job done, and oh so relatable.
Alright, so we're just gonna go with this. And I'm sorry. I have to get my points. Kick. I gotta be fucking careful because this is a PvP server. Wait, where's the fucking water? There we go. Okay, come on. Oh, come on now. Alright, so I'm gonna not leave here with nothing. Where's some fucking sticks? I need fucking sticks. Ah. Alright, so alright, at least get that. Let's put some vitality up there. Alright, need a weapon. Need that. Especially if... Whew. Need some sticks. Where are my sticks? Alright, got some shoes. Fucking need some sticks. Sorry, guys. I know I'm gonna get back to the video in a second, but let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do it now.
Since his debut in the late 80s, Vegeta has become a globally recognized character and is a favorite for many in the series. But how does one write an anti-hero character? And how did Akira Toriyama make a character like Vegeta that resonated with so many people? Well, let's take a look. What makes an anti-hero? A lot of the time nowadays, many scriptwriters, both for TV and film, create anti-hero characters that are just, for lack of a better term, one-dimensional bastards. And while a certain...
Alright, so, yeah, this is what I fucking hate. I hate when a lot of people actually take a shorthand for just lazy writing. Like, legit, there are people who just... And I think that's the reason why I've never actually wanted to write down a lot of my story characters, is because I don't want to be accused of lazy writing. And I see a lot of people easily become lazy writers. And I just never want to actually use that. I never want to be that person. Like, that person who uses lazy writing as a crutch to a story. I know it's actually really easy to do, but I never want to be accused of that. Oh, guess I can't chop that down. But let's go.
edge is part of it. It is on a fundamental level not what makes an anti-hero an anti-hero.
Anti-heroes are great guys who turned bad for sympathetic reasons, right? For sympathetic reasons. Michael Corleone becomes a horrible man. Why? He's saving his dad. He's saving his family, right? Tony Soprano is a horrible guy, but we like him. Why? Because he wants to save his family.
When writing the anti-hero character, it is important to understand what makes an anti-hero and what does not make an anti-hero. For example, the anti-hero of the story is not the villain of the story, which means that Vegeta has not always been the anti-hero character. He became one. When he was first introduced during the Saiyan arc of Dragon Ball Z, his actions were seemingly irredeemable. It wasn't until...
Now, this is something that is wildly true. Oh, shit. I'm not that far from something. Shit, I can't harvest that. Alright, but alright. Cause I'm gonna need some. Cause as soon as I get out, I think I'm gonna have to fucking fight for my life. As soon as I get out this fucking desert. Shit. I need a fucking shield. Alright. I need to move in land as quickly as possible. As soon as I can, so. Alright. Where am I? God damn it. Somebody really did build a tower right here, didn't they? I need a bedroll. Son of a bitch. Really? I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. Would I be an anti-hero? Alright. Oh shit. Like, for real? You guys are right here? Ah. I gotta get further inland. Let me go, but let's continue.
Till after the fight with Goku did we notice another side to Vegeta. Typically in a movie, the anti-hero is such from the beginning. A central character that lacks conventional heroic attributes. While they may fight bravely, they might not be selfless. And if they are strong, they might not be merciful. Usually acting heroically or doing heroic stuff because it's in their own self-interest. Or they might believe it's their responsibility among other ideals they hold to be true.
They got me. And they're threatening to kill my family.
Who is coming?
God damn it. These people, boy. Skip ads.
Of storytelling that made Vegeta's eventual anti-hero turn so compelling was his slow shift from the villain role.
Alright, so I feel like I'm not commenting enough in this one as I can as I did in other ones. So let's just talk about it. So Vegeta did become a sympathetic character. And even though you may not have agreed with all of his proclivities, like when he blew the shit out of Dodoria, pause. That was Zarbon. Oh god, that was an awesome ass move. And you actually get some very interesting characterization from Vegeta. It was just that I get why he became such an anti-hero. But I don't get why. And he was an awesome character. I'm just going to say that. I fucking love the fact that his characterization was as it was. And I think a lot of people miss how much of a great character he was. Even though I don't agree with everything that he fucking did. Like, come on, Vegeta. Like, you didn't have to kill him. But it was great when he did actually just act, because I know he came before Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, but he and Hiei was just like some of like the two best characters in early anime. Like, for real, like him and Hiei would, of course they had supremely spiky hair, of course, but I just enjoyed how well those characters were put together. The fuck? That's how you know somebody had too much time on their hands. But let's continue.
To neutral, and eventually to the good. And that right there is something that set Vegeta apart from many of the anti-heroes of the 80s time period. He developed. But what you might be asking at this point is, if Vegeta wasn't always the anti-hero, how did they change him into one?
So the great secret of anti-hero is to make the villains and the people around them worse and less likable than the hero themselves. So Tony Soprano's mom is the most miserable, horrible human being ever conceived on television. But so we love Tony because his mom is just so awful, and we think, oh, poor guy. No wonder he turned into a murdering psychopath.
And that's why I said I don't think Vegeta got over the PTSD that Frieza inflicted on him. I mean, like, damn, Frieza was a bastard. Like, a supreme bastard. Like, a monstrous supreme bastard. It was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome to see Vegeta dart around and be sneaky and be just as appealing as he was to the fucking battle. I fucking love that. But let's continue.
The sympathetic character. If there's one surefire way to make your anti-hero shine, it's by writing a story where he has to overcome an even more despicable evil. Once Vegeta suffered the defeat at the hands of Goku, we are greeted by this scene. While not taking anything to heart, we got our first indication that Vegeta might not be the top dog, and at one point perhaps suffered ridicule at the hands of his superiors.
I mean, like, yeah, you actually see Vegeta actually being the butt of so many fucking jokes. And where that is cool and fun, and I think for you guys who've actually seen my old playthrough of this game, you're gonna see me return to this place. Yay! And I think I'm gonna actually do it a lot better than what it was. But let's continue.
That's relatable. And that creeping sense of sympathy is made even more palpable with the introduction of Frieza. As I said before, an anti-hero can be ruthless and merciless. He does not need to be selfless and merciful, but the audience does need to sympathize with him on some level, and he needs to be juxtaposed to a more severe evil. In the case of Vegeta, despite being a seemingly irredeemable character when he was first introduced, slowly the story fed us more and more information about why he is the way he is, how his allies see him, how his superiors betrayed him, and what life growing up in subjugation must have been like.
俺や貴様の生まれ倒す惑星ベジータが消えてなくなったのは兄弟隕石の衝突のせいじゃなかったんだフリーザがやりやがったんだ
The key to connecting an anti-hero to the audience is sympathy. Their actions and moral standing might be questionable, but when the audience can empathize with the character, then they are also able to accept and understand why he is the way he is. On top of that, it frees up space for us to see his redemption arc, or good side, more clearly. The beginning of this for Vegeta was on Namek. His escapades, ducking and weaving around Frieza's...
I guess that's where I got the phrase from. But like, yeah, you could tell just like Vegeta was just, he was in a fucked up situation. And I would care to say that his situations that he had to deal with just the characters in his arc kind of actually let you see some of his brilliance in his battle strategy. And man, it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, like, yeah, he's being resourceful. And let me start building motherfucking Craft 8. He's being resourceful, and one, he's not in the position where he can use his immense power and strength that he notably had over the Earthlings. He had to use wit and cunning. And yeah, he got overconfident. He wouldn't be Vegeta without overconfidence. But he actually played shit smart. And this is one of those things where it's just like, it was beautiful by design. But let's continue.
Man, as he tried to get the Dragon Balls for himself, was always a joy to watch. And it was so because we knew he was the lesser of two evils and had a common enemy with our heroes, which led to this. That might be a fun moment to look back on, but it was also the very first time Vegeta's actions coincided with what the main cast of good guys wanted. And from that moment on, Vegeta had cemented himself as an anti-hero, fighting, albeit begrudgingly, alongside the rest of the Earth's fighters, even going so far as to heal Goku before the impending Frieza attack. And all of that played into another aspect of Vegeta that made his anti-hero so successful and, more importantly, compelling. He is an active character that drives the story forward.
If you have a full character that's real, that you created, and then you put something in front of them, in a way they will begin to write the movie, because you know how they're going to react to whatever you put in front of them, because they're now these dimensional characters, as opposed to, let's have this happen, let's have this happen, let's have this happen, and we'll just make sure that they do these things.
The opposite of what was going on with Gohan. Vegeta fucking moved the story along. Sometimes in horrible ways, yes. He moved the story along. And it's one of those things where it's just like, I can agree with the characterization that a lot of people actually see with Vegeta. And again, not that I identify with him. Like, no, he's a fucking space racist that only softened and understood. He understood his place more and what Saiyans can actually be. But make no mistake, Vegeta is a fucking racist. And that's why he says Saiyans this and Saiyans that. But he actually used some of the negative connotations of his fucking racism to say, like, we are stronger, but we have a responsibility to be stronger. And it's not... Yes, he still has his Saiyan pride. But he uses it to say, like, with great power comes great responsibility. He is the embodiment of that because as a Saiyan, you should be prideful and you should be the strongest. And with you being the strongest, you have a responsibility to take care of the people that are weaker than you. And past Vegeta probably wouldn't have actually had that mentality, but that's something he grew to learn. Like, hey, I need to be better for people. But let's continue.
That was, preordained. And I think that's what creates a feeling of artifice, or you've seen it all before, or boring, I think.
Vegeta is a compelling character because instead of waiting for the story to happen to him, which would be a reactive thing to do, Vegeta the character takes action and tries to manipulate the odds to his favor. Because of this character trait, Vegeta has caused many, many terrible things to happen, as well as the good that I mentioned before. Regardless, because his character has an active approach to the story, we the audience find him extremely interesting to watch because he is the one that moves the plot forward. And
Exactly.
that is immensely compelling. Opposites attract
Exactly.
interest.
Whenever things get stale in a medium, the anti-hero has frequently been the tool a new generation of...
So, the thing about anti-heroes is a lot of people just don't do anti-heroes right. Like, you can literally say that, a lot of people just, like, even when I go back and use the example of Hiei. Hiei was an asshole for most of the runtime of Yu Yu Hakusho. And even when they, even once he was defeated the first time, and during the dark tournament, even before we get to the dark tournament, when you actually see him fighting the Blue Ice Dragon in the third arc of Yu Yu Hakusho, you actually see something where he's just, as much as you see him as an irredeemable asshole when you first meet him, what pisses him off, the person that has no moral code whatsoever, what pisses him completely off to say, no, that's crossing my line, is when the Blue Ice Dragon kills the White Tiger because he's weak. And that touches a nerve because you actually see Hiei and what he does and further on in the story, but it's not a, oh, you weak, you disgust me. It's a, you're weak and you're beneath me. And that just, it touched Hiei in a place where it was just like, oh, that's, and you kind of get the sense that that's where his turn, and he never loses that edge. He actually uses that edge to his advantage later on in the story. But man, it's just like, these are some of the early anti-hero characters where it's just, wow, it's noticeable where authors are doing a great job. But let's continue.
artists use to escape the traps the medium's fallen into. And it makes sense. In a really reductionist way, the anti-hero is simply a rebellion against whatever the medium has established as a norm.
The introduction of characters like Piccolo and Vegeta was a rebellion against what had become the norm. Dragon Ball was the story of Goku until he became a man. The story of Goku as a man needed to be different, and so...
I wouldn't even say Piccolo Jr. was an anti-hero. I can't... He was never... Yes, he did some... How do I put it? He never seemed like the anti-hero, even with, like... He never seemed the character to say, oh, I'm big, bad, evil. Because he only had one arc where he was big, bad, evil. And he immediately actually went into the change of being a fucking ally to Goku. It's like, yeah, it was deflating that he got to kill Goku, but as soon as he killed him, he was like, you know what? It's not fucking worth it. And that's one of the things that kind of like, it's one of those things where it's just like, Piccolo was never an anti-hero. Never was. I know a lot of people like to say he was an anti-hero. Piccolo, in his current incarnation, was never an anti-hero. And what you can't attribute Demon King Piccolo's actions to the Piccolo that we know's actions, because he was never an anti-hero. But let's continue.
But Akira Toriyama renamed this section of the series Onward, Dragon Ball Z, to reflect that it was coming to an end, and to represent a change in the direction the series was taking. And to best reflect that change, the main character...
No, it was never really named Dragon Ball Z in the manga. They did that for the anime. But let's continue.
Character introduced during the initial arc of Z was Vegeta. This is a phenomenon that is observed in every single instance a certain genre gains a large amount of notoriety for a long period of time. Crime dramas were once all the rage, and so to subvert the trope of having the good guy protagonist to the genre, the anti-hero Walter White was created. A sympathetic, complicated character that was doing the wrong thing for all the right reasons. Superhero films now thrive in the box office, and so it became the perfect time to have a movie like Deadpool become a worldwide success.
As somebody who, and by no means am I a comic book expert, I watch most of the shit that I watch. Most of the comic book knowledge that I come into is mostly from the whole thing of people who go through the comic and actually reread it, or they do a summary of it. So, yeah, I'm not that big of a comic book fan, but I'm one of those fans that's old enough to remember the actual, let's say it, the 90s cartoons, which were horrible in and of themselves, but they were so fucking fun. And a lot of fans we have now, and this is not to take away from their fandom at all, they don't remember how awesome some of the 90s cartoons were as far as the story goes. Yes, they do remember like things like how awesome the X-Men were, but that was only a small part of the universe. Like, all of those shows were connected, and either tangentially or just out of nowhere, those shows were fucking connected, and they all fit, and it was all wonderful and awesome. And I think that's how Marvel knew that they can do the job that they did with the MCU, because the shows that they had were fucking awesome. But let's continue.
Now, I am by no means saying that Deadpool was successful just because of its subversion of our expectations. The film was also very well written and shot. However, what I am saying is that when a certain genre becomes stale, it inevitably gives rise to an anti-hero in that genre. The shonen genre was inundated with good boys like Goku, and so added an edge into the mix, as a main character giving rise to a whole new kind of shonen anti-hero. Whether or not Vegeta was the first in manga doesn't really matter. He is the one that has stood the test of time as the example. Don't believe me? How many times have you heard someone say that so-and-so is the Vegeta of that show? It might be due to their moral complexity, or even their choices mirroring our...
But see, and that's the thing. I know, and maybe it's just from when I caught the shit. But like that character stereotype, I think if Yu Yu Hakusho had the biggest push, if it was more kid friendly, then kid friendly as Dragon Ball Z, we'd be having a different discussion. And it's just one of my things. It's like I think that is, and you know, we can fight about it, we can debate about it, but I really think if Yu Yu Hakusho was just more kid friendly, we'll be having a very different discussion about anti-heroes. And maybe it's just that. Maybe that, you know, maybe that we just didn't have that discussion because of some of the things that were happening during that time frame. But God, it's just like, I think a lot of people miss like some of the great shows that were around in the early 2000s, late 90s, as far as like some of the greatness. Like I mentioned Tenchimoto before, but it was just like Ryoko was a fucking anti-hero versus Areka, I forget how to pronounce her name. Like, you had some great animes and mangas, and maybe this shows how different like my manga experience were. Vampire Hunter D was a fucking anti-hero. Like I'm old enough to remember some of the great older shows with missing like I did miss like the first mostly the first Voltron and mostly the first Gundam. I did miss that, but some of the great shows that we had, man, they were fucking awesome at those times. But let's continue.
But anti-heroes, for one reason or another, are intensely interesting. We earnestly root for their redemption and salivate at the thought of them paying for their mistakes. Vegeta is an anti-hero that has stood the test of time. When faced with moral paragons like Gohan and Krillin, or morally great characters like Son Goku, we the audience understand and sympathize with the choices and actions of a great anti-hero like Vegeta. Speaking on the right of the anti-hero, H. Eric Bender wrote, "Anti-heroes liberate us. They reject social constraints and expectations imposed upon us. Anti-heroes give our grievances a voice. They make us feel like something right is being done, even if it's legally wrong. Anti-heroes do things we're afraid to do. They are who they are, and they do as they want, without apology." And I gotta say, for 30 minutes every week watching Dragon Ball Z, we lived vicariously through him, without apology. Thank you so much for watching.
Alright, so we're gonna go to the
This video is brought
next
to you by
video.
Dollar Shave Club. Goku
Hold
Black.
on.
If I was
And while I'm doing this, I just want to actually say this. And I'm sorry, I just want to kind of fucking just like address this. We're trudging through this. Response video. Okay, good. I want to actually say this. Super's arcs weren't disjointed or disconnected. They weren't. You know what Super's arcs were? Every arc ended with a reason to go to the next arc. That's how it worked. I'm sorry. I am upset about people who say this shit because here's the thing. After... No, you know... You can say Battle of Gods set up the tournament of the tournament of Gods of Destructions, and you know, and I hate to say it like this, but people were mad at the way the Future Trunks arc ended, but that in and of itself was a setup for the Tournament of Power. It frustrates me that a lot of people, the way the arc ended was the reason why a lot of people it ended that way is because Toriyama wanted 2 Zenos. That's why he wanted, like literally, that's why Zeno was the literal Deus Ex Machina, God from the machine. But it was. He wanted to have some excuse to like Toriyama ended that arc in a way, in a fashion where he accomplished 2 things. One, it's becoming more and more likely that he wants to have the Dragon Ball Universe timeline where literally Future Trunks becomes the hero of time. That's where you get Time Patrol Trunks. That's not something that somebody just decided to make up and Toriyama put his stamp of approval. No, he literally wants to make Trunks John Connor that has the ability to go through time. That was the purpose of his character. And basically now everything he does is a setup for a future arc. Boo falling asleep. Guess what happens? Because he fell asleep, something else happened. Like literally, he's actually not artistic, not in an artistful way. Yeah, that's the word. He's using different plot points to transition to another point. And I'm sorry that people are missing this. Or maybe I just think so much less of authors who are admittedly very lazy to say, hey, I'm setting up this plot point. and this is how it works. Like, literally, the fact that Boo fell asleep is used as a reason. It is used as the main thing that people are who want him for a specific reason to actually do. And like, I know our fans are better than this. I know our Dragon Ball fans are better than this. But they should see it. But let's go to the final video I'm gonna do today. Oh my god, how long? I've been recording for like almost 2 hours, but let's go. Skip ads.
Trunks, flashing onto the scene.
Alright, so here's the thing. I don't think we can have a future Vegeta changing character without having the first interaction of future Trunks. And this is what kind of sparked me to make this video. And I don't know, I may actually cut the video up because to give you guys content throughout the week. I don't know. I don't know. I may. Depending on how it is on YouTube, I may cut this video up. Cut out me getting some water. Speaking of water, cheers. Man, that's some good shit. So, I will say this. How many do I need? Yeah, I craft 4. I will say this. I fucking love Trunks' inclusion in. Oh, no purge meter. Okay, yeah. I fucking love Trunks' inclusion in both Dragon Ball Z and Super. I think a lot of people misunderstand his strength in the story. I know a lot of people do. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just one of those things where it's he's definitely a misunderstood character. But let's go.
Out of nowhere, taking out the most prolific villain in Dragon Ball history, soon becoming one of the most popular characters in the entire series. However, with a saga that includes moments such as this, I often felt as though a particular relationship dynamic was largely kept out of...
Okay, so first thing, I hate this term, but Frieza just turned out to be a jobber for Trunks. Like, literally, it was just like, oh, you thought Frieza was strong, and this kid comes and wipes him out very easily. Basically hands him his towel and said, clean up and go home. And maybe because I didn't see this part of Z until I was a lot older. But I didn't see it as, oh, Trunks is awesome. I saw it as, oh, shit is about to get real fucked up here in a minute. If he's this strong and he's calling for help, it's about to go down. And it's the same kind of, and I know I want to talk about this in a video sometime. It's the same thing I see with Boruto. It's like, oh, he's gifted with so much power. And if you're a somewhat decent writer, you would know if a character to create tension, sometimes it's just like with the original Dragon Ball. Goku didn't really find any... He didn't find any tension in the first part of Dragon Ball. Not really. And the reason why, like, his first loss that he was handed was from Jackie Chan. And that wasn't a loss where it was much of a loss. He was handed a loss because it was convenient for him to lose. And I'm sorry, like, I don't. I don't see why people thought Trunks was so cool because he can become Super Saiyan. I saw Trunks becoming Super Saiyan, and I saw his strength as a shit is about to get fucked up badly. And it turned out that, yeah, shit was fucked up badly. But let's continue.
Of the spotlight. So, as I often do, I decided to go to my Twitter to ask my followers what they thought, asking the question, which of these was your favorite relationship in Dragon Ball's Cell arc? I provided 3 options to choose from, and with over 2,000 votes cast, the clear winner was Gohan and Goku. And while I think there are definitely a lot of aspects to love about the relationship and interactions during this part of the story, today I want to bring attention to and focus on what I believe is one of the most underrated, fantastic, and believable relationships ever told in Dragon Ball.
Alright, so, just going over this. This was actually a wonderful story to use. I'm sorry, I actually love the characterization that you got with Vegeta and Trunks. And I know a lot of people kind of like I know a lot of people didn't pay attention to, but this is where Vegeta actually changed a lot. Where he just became that, oh shit, I have to be more than what I have to be more than the proud Saiyan Prince. I have to be just a better person. But let's continue.
I want to take an in-depth look at how Trunks and his scenes were written to achieve an emotional connection with the audience, to explore how the supporting characters played a role in reinforcing this relationship, and to explain how a father and son dynamic built one of the most realistic and cathartic relationships in the show's history. This is Future Trunks, the Wounded. Storytelling, what makes a character and story interesting is largely the conflict. According to K.M. Weiland's book, Creating Character Arcs, there are 4 aspects that make up the arc and the conflict in a character's mind. These are the lie that they believe, the thing they want, the thing they need, and the wound. To begin our dissection of Trunks' character, I think it's important we first understand the storytelling term, wound. According to author K.M. Weiland, wound is movie speak for something in your character's past that haunts him. Often the wound will be something shocking and traumatic. This wound from a traumatic event typically causes...
I like, this just brings up Team 4 Stars thing of it, where he's talking to, where 16 he's talking to Gohan, and he straight out tells him, he was like, yeah, I bet Trunks will tell you some stories, and I bet they all end and he died too. It was cathartic to say the least. But let's continue.
Or is connected to the lie the character believes, which is the harboring of some deeply held misconception the character either believes about themselves, the world, or both. In other words, the character's wound often goes hand in hand with the lie that they believe and need to overcome over the course of the story. For example, in the case of Marvel's Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter's wound is his Uncle Ben's murder. It's something he blames himself for, something that drives...
I don't know if that characterization is actually correct, because it doesn't seem that way. I know we want to actually make the Uncle Ben story integral in Peter's life, and yeah, that is integral, but not really as far as Spider-Man goes in this instance. But let's continue.
Drives him throughout the story's runtime and continues to do so today. At the same time, the lie that he believes is that he needs the suit to be Spider-Man, that in order to be a hero, he needs that special suit Tony Stark provided for him, to which Tony Stark responds,
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
in this one scene, Peter's desire to help others is demonstrated. His wound, Uncle Ben's death.
I get, and I'm somebody who fucking likes the Spider-Man Homecoming. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's not a bad movie to me. I just know a lot of people who don't like it because it seems like it had too much of the Marvel style and the Marvel, I don't know, like, they just didn't like it. And I always found it as a problem to me that a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't Raimi Spider-Man, where it was definitely better than fucking oh god, what is that thing? God damn it, what was that? The Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, the Amazing Spider-Man was horrible. And speaking of horrible, I cannot see. You gotta be kidding me. Don't tell me I use it all. Ah, fuck me. But let's continue.
Motivating him, but at the same time it's made evident through his own words that he doesn't fully believe in himself, which is the lie his character believes. In the case of Trunks, during his unveiling he comes off as a confident and capable fighter, breezing through the largest foe the series has seen in an instant with a smirk on his face. However, shortly after, we soon find out that he isn't as sure-footed as he initially appeared. We eventually learn that Trunks comes from an alternate future where everyone...
What? He uses pride and bravado to hide his fucking weakness? Almost like another character we know.
Himself, Bulma, and a few others have died. The individuals responsible? The androids. Despicable cyborgs responsible for taking Trunks' only father figure away from him, Gohan. This is Trunks' wound. Trunks blames himself for Gohan's death in his timeline. If he had been stronger, if he had been better, maybe he could have saved him. As a result of this trauma, the lie Trunks now believes is that he needs someone else to save his timeline for him. He needs help. Additionally, he deeply desires to meet and build a relationship of some form with the father he never had a chance to meet. Which leads me nicely into what I believe was Trunks' most important play in the series. His
Yes! We agree. We agree.
interactions with a certain...
Can you buy some booze for my friends and I?
What the hell?
Please?
No. Skip ads. Thank you.
character.
貴様ら痛みを感じないんだろう。ラッキーだったな。
Did I just see his foot? No, I'm fucking joking. So, yeah, like, a lot of the characters was fucking just... It was... Trunks actually served to humanize Vegeta. That's an awesome thing, and Trunks served to very much humanize Vegeta. But let's continue.
Vegeta's wound or traumatic life-changing event was his planet's destruction and his upbringing under Frieza. He was raised to believe that strength was all that mattered and that he was destined to be the strongest Saiyan. However, when he finds out that that isn't the case, suddenly becoming stronger and demonstrating his superiority becomes the only thing that occupies his mind. Vegeta now thinks that the only thing worth pursuing is power. That is the lie that Vegeta believes.
And you know what? The thing about it is, this isn't wrong. Vegeta actually wanted to just use strength. And, yeah, like, those conflicting things, and let's just let him finish what he's gonna say.
He puts up a strong guard against those that suggest otherwise. However, in Trunks' first conversation with Goku before leaving to pass, he comments that Vegeta looks lonely and informs Goku that that was what made Bulma interact with him in the first place. She had sympathy for Vegeta. But that's not to say Trunks is perfect either.
Come on. Yeah, that was well deserved. It's fucking well deserved. But let's continue.
This is a terrific example of character values in conflict. In John Truby's book, The Anatomy of Story, he writes, identify a set of values for your hero and each of the other main characters. Make each set of values as different from the others as possible. As your hero and his opponents fight over the goal, make sure their values come into direct conflict. In other words, establish the theme of your story. Set the main goal for all the characters to aim for, and give all the characters pushing towards that goal different values. In the case of Trunks and Vegeta in this instance, they are working towards the same goal, but have vastly different ideas of what they think it takes to achieve that goal. When the androids are woken up, Trunks unleashes a massive blast without warning, after which Vegeta remarks that that was an entirely pointless effort, which it was. Trunks believed...
So, okay. First, yeah, this is gonna be a smaller. Can I? do I want to build massive fortifications here? When I... Shit. Let's see. Can't build that shield. Well, let's go.
Believes that the androids are too monstrous and that they shouldn't even try. He's ruled by fear and vengeance, clouding his judgment, leading to poor decisions being made. Vegeta, on the other side of the coin, thinks that nothing can be greater than he is, and that if they are that strong, he should still be the one to face them anyway. These actions are motivated by the wounds both characters have endured in their pasts, resulting...
So, to me, Trunks is an answer to his father. Not necessarily a reflection, but an answer to his father. What is... Oh, God, I can't English. He's an answer to his father. What will Vegeta do, being as strong as he is, still living under the... I don't think that those two characters are diametrically opposed as they originally seem in the original story. I think they are... The reason why they relate and work so well is because they are closer to each other than what they realize. Especially after you see that scene where, after the Room of Spirit and Time, you see Trunks actually, you actually see Trunks coming up and actually, getting boastful and prideful in, oh, it feels good to be strong. And I don't want to show my power to my father. But it's just like, they related so much out of that relationship. But let's continue.
In them both living out the lies that they hold to be true. Trunks, ruled by fear of loss and destruction, deems it impossible to win without help, and Vegeta, believing only he can do it, refusing any help. However, something happens. During Vegeta's fight with 18, Trunks remarks, I never knew my father was so powerful. He's holding his own against those androids. Androids we later find out are tougher than those in Trunks' timeline. Trunks underestimates what he and others are capable of because of his fear and experiences. However, by that same token, Vegeta overestimates what he is capable of, casting aside the notion of ever working as part of a team. It's worth mentioning at this point that Trunks was correct in his estimations of the androids. That alone, Vegeta was no match for 18 once his stamina was drained. However, his estimation of what a Saiyan is capable.
So, yeah. I think if the fight would have went on longer and they would have teamed up, would they have actually ended, would that fight have gone better? Probably so. Halfway through the fight, 18 got serious. But, I don't know. Let's finish this out and then I'm going to cut off the stream for the night.
Was skewed by fear, and when faced with another father figure down one arm, on the brink of death, Trunks acts on emotion, making matters worse by including Android 17. Trunks is naive, but he doesn't know it yet. Vegeta makes a lot of mistakes, but he never makes the mistake of underestimating what he is capable of. As mentioned by both Piccolo and Goku in this arc, Vegeta is a fighting genius, demonstrating a mental toughness and resilience that Trunks is sorely lacking, perfectly shown by their first reactions to the inside of the time chamber, with Trunks distraught and Vegeta delighted. Due to the trauma...
And this is what makes those two characters just so fucking awesome to play off each other. Almost as good as when Goku and Vegeta play off each other too. It's characters with a similarly same conflict. The problem is strength. Vegeta actually doesn't feel that he's as strong as Goku in certain instances. And when he does get to the strength of Goku, he thinks he has Goku's strength of character, which in some ways he doesn't, in some ways he does. But that's who Vegeta is. And Trunks was to say, Trunks gave Vegeta a sense of pride. A sense of pride in someone else, which is a strange feeling. Is when he learned that he was his son, and as much as he berated him for a different reason. Not that he was weak, but that he was fucking. No, you're my son. You can be better. You're a fucking. First, you're a fucking Saiyan, so you should be better. And then, you're my son. You should be better. He has the same requirements for strength out of Trunks that Goku realistically had out of Gohan. But let's continue.
Of Trunks' past and his belief that he needs help to succeed, he can't clearly take stock of what he is capable of, when that is all that Vegeta can see clearly about himself. Now, locked in a room together, Vegeta is forced to share a space with his son, and Trunks is forced to challenge his limits in ways he never thought possible. The lies they tell themselves are almost perfect opposites. Trunks wants group cooperation, but doesn't believe in himself. Vegeta believes only in himself and wants nothing to do with teamwork. Both of their lies are in direct conflict, and as a result, they force each other to change.
Exactly.
The positive change arc sees the protagonist start out.
Now, here's my thing. This is what I like. What people were surprised where, like, Vegeta had the "That's my Bulma" scene. Now, this is a scene where you got to be like, if. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna make sure that I clarify this. Only because Vegeta is who he is, he was, and if it actually would have made narrative sense if when Cell came back, Vegeta popping the Super Saiyan 2. Like, seriously, it would have been Gohan wasn't quite strong enough, and I guess Toriyama wanted to make his Gohan's moment, but he would have popped the Super Saiyan 2 because my fucking son, you just killed my son. And Vegeta had that same sense of loss. He probably just didn't know how to let go of himself like Gohan did. Is that a bad thing on Vegeta? No. But it was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. But let's continue. Die item getting a contribution. Alright, let's go.
With varying degrees of denial and suffering. As the story progresses, he's forced to challenge his beliefs about both himself and the world around him until finally overcoming these inner demons, changing for the better. Vegeta realizes in this moment that he does care about other people. He cares about his son. Despite being uncaring and unkind to the past, he dashes in to avenge his son in the same careless manner Trunks did against Android 18. This was not a smart move, one Vegeta apologizes for moments later. However, to complete his arc for this saga, he works as part of team to defeat Cell alongside Gohan, playing the supporting role. Thanks to Trunks, Vegeta, whether he wants to admit it now or not, cares, and has grown as a character for the better. Trunks, once revived, after all his experience through his time with the main cast, has overcome his internal struggle too. He now believes that he has what it takes to protect his future. Again, this is similar to the plot of Spider-Man Homecoming. As Peter is seen being crushed beneath a large and very heavy object, he cries out for help, but no one answers. Through his struggles in the film...
So, again, it's not quite the same. Not quite the same. I'm sorry, it isn't, and I can get why you're gonna make that assumption, but not quite the same to me. But let's continue.
He realizes that the help Pony gave him didn't make him Spider-Man. He is, and always has been, Spider-Man, and people are depending on him. Peter, rising to the occasion, utilizing his wound as a motivation to overcome his lie, results in one of the most moving and inspirational moments of the film. In that same way, Vegeta and the rest of the supporting cast help motivate and improve Trunks to the point where he no longer needs help. He can take care of his world alone. He always had that ability or potential in him, he just couldn't see it. He is no longer a boy, he is now a man. There are tons of famous father and son stories in fiction, where both characters address their shortcomings and ultimately challenge each other to be better in ways they would never have been able to do alone. Having given myself the time to reflect upon the story that was told between these two characters through this lens, I now see and better understand how important this aspect of the narrative was in creating the moments we all loved and appreciated on the surface. Thanks to the addition of Trunks, the past...
So, I still kind of just I don't like the characterization, and I guess that's all it is. I just and this is one of the reasons why I started this thing. This is why I wanted to actually address this video, and it's not that I think that he's totally wrong. I actually think that he has a good sense of way to look at it, and I've said before, I think it's more of I'm a writer, I have the tools of a writer, and this is my narrative take of how it should be. And that's fine. That's actually really good. And that's what good fucking writers actually, or learning writers, or just not hacks need to do. They need to take on a story that they can actually grow with and actually learn and actually move and actually learn certain things from, instead of the, well, I'm just going to completely rip off, transcend what is already there. And well, let's continue this and you get my final thoughts.
Traumas of both himself and Vegeta were exposed and challenged for the better, ultimately forcing each other to heal from their past traumas, to relinquish their lies they believed, and to adopt a new truth moving forward. This relationship is a complex tale, full of innocence, hope, pride, and ultimately catharsis. And it's thanks to this father and son story we've learned that in order to heal, you need to call attention to and address the wounded characters. Thanks for watching.
Alright. So, yeah, I'm done with this. And so, basically, I actually like the characterization that he has, and I'm going to have to accuse myself of what I'm accusing him of. I think a lot of it is really, as somebody who has the tools to be a writer, I would have liked this, I would have liked this. And I see it in good fanfic, and I see it horribly in bad fanfic, where a lot of people would say, I want this character to be this, so I'm going to use this tools to make it look, or make the story do what I want it to do. And that is horrible, that some people just don't know how to do it right. And this is a great guy. I actually like his artistic style. And if it was really up to me, I would want to have a live conversation about his characteristic, hang out with his characterizations or his interpretations of the characters, because they're actually really great. They're insightful, and I don't want to in any way mischaracterize. He's actually doing some great work on his channel, and it's refreshing to watch somebody who is a writer that knows some of the things in the background, what makes good writing. But yeah, like, again, I Totally Not Mark is actually a great channel, and I like his imaginative take on certain things, and I don't want to take that away from him at all. It's just like certain things that I feel that should be different, and again, it's not to take away from some of the things that he's actually done. It's fucking great, like his redesign of the Pokemon. That's fucking awesome. And quite frankly, I wish him good luck on his channel. But as for this time, guys, just like the Tanner's life, this stream is over. Thank you guys for watching, and you enjoy the rest of your day.